are going to present modernist architecture. My name is Valeria. She's Ana Paula. And well, we're gonna start.
Okay, this is a very famous quote about modern architecture. It says, "No better name than modern has been yet found for what has come to be characteristic architecture of the 20th century." Even though many styles have been developed since modern architecture, it is still considered one of the most important ones, and that has the best characteristic of a pure style.
So the modernism movement involved like all crafts. It involved literature, architecture, art. Well, in literature, for example, we have Kafka, and well, in art we have Kandinsky. But well, in this presentation, we're going to talk about architecture.
Modern architecture started in the 20th century by the western part of the world. It was a movement that started in the First World War, and with the Industrial Revolution, Industrial Revolution made a very significant transformation in this style because new materials were discovered like iron, steel, and glass, and those materials were reflected in the modern architecture.
Well, it all started in Germany with the Bauhaus school. The Walter Gropius was a German architect. In 1919, he founded the Bauhaus school. In that school, their main goal was to make artists like complete artists. Like, for example, that an architect could not only design a house or a building, that they could also design the furniture and the windows and everything. But well, this school, it had a lot of very important teachers. They had very important architects and artists. But while Mies van der Rohe, he was also a great architect. When he was the principal of the school, it had to close because of the World War II. It only lasted for 14 years.
So, in 1932, modern architecture was considered as an international style by the Modern Museum in New York because they said that modern architecture had a very rapid transformation all over the world, and that's why they name it the international style. This is a chart where we can see the progress of the modern architecture. It started with the Industrial Revolution, then the World War I, and during the World War II, it created a lot of importance in many countries, and those firms, the ones Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill, and Harrison Abramovitz, they were very important firms that helped this movement to evolve around the world.
Because well, when the Bauhaus school closed, it was because of the World War II. So United States called the important architects from the Bauhaus, and they United States told them to come to United States, that they could be safe there. So the architects moved to United States, and a lot of them went to Chicago. And there they started another school, and they started implementing the modernist architecture that they were using in Germany. So that's also an important factor of how modernism started to become international.
Okay, modern architecture. The fundamentals of modern architectures are clean and straightforward. As we can see in those pictures, they have straight and geometric figures in the inside and also in the outside. We can have a clear view about those buildings, and simplicity is a very important feature of those buildings. Therefore, modern architects express themselves through minimalist designs, and they didn't create a lot of detailed things that weren't used.
Like they wanted you to concentrate on the building and not on the details and everything. So the interior designs were like this. An important feature of modernist architecture is that they used the materials like raw. They didn't paint them, they didn't move anything. Like wood, they used it like it was. Steel, they used it like that. Well, these are examples that the wood was a very famous material. They also use concrete a lot.
And modern architects had a rule that it's about creating things by natural sources. And as we can see in the first picture, structures in this movement, they were need to be like hidden. They show the things how they were in the floor plans at the beginning, and they didn't had a lot of details in the structures. And glass walls were very important in this movement because they created how to say it. Glass walls permit people to have a connection with the outside, with the exterior, and with nature.
Yeah, they wanted it like you to feel like you were part of the whole landscape, not just the house. All the exterior designs, they were, well, as I said, they wanted the house to feel like it was part of the environment or the place where it was. They didn't want it to just be a house there in the middle of the grass, or I don't know. They wanted it to be like part of the whole environment. So, well, the main feature that they used were straight lines, but they also used curves in the exteriors.
The objective of these buildings was to create a natural environment for humans so they could be more familiarized with their environment and also to take care of it. And that's why the windows in a lot of buildings.
Well, these are some examples. The Robbie House in USA, it's completely straight lines. But like, for example, the Villa Savoy in France, it has curves.
But all of them contain glass.
Yes.
The floor plans of these movements are characterized by the open spaces in the house. As we can see, the open living areas were very important for them because they wanted to create a more friendly environment in the inside and also in the outside. Pony walls are very important because they were used to separate rooms, but to create privacy, not to be separated from the rest of the house or of the environment.
These were walls that were from the floor but not to the ceiling. It was a little shorter. So these are some examples of modern architecture now. That building is in London. It has a lot of curves and it's completely made out of glass. The Opera Sydney, Sydney Opera House.
Yes.
It has a lot of curves, and also another characteristic for modern architecture is that it had a lot of layers.
They were used to emphasize in the materials and in the beautifulness of the building. This building is called the Walkie-Talkie Skyscraper by Raphael Pinoli. We used in this presentation because, as we already said, modern architecture needs a lot of the environmental surroundings in order to be labeled as a modern architecture building. And they made a big mistake at the time they were building this construction because they didn't take in account the sunlight that was going to hit into the building. And when they finished the building, they realized that the neighbors in front of the building were receiving straight sun from the building, and there were a lot of accidents because melting materials, also cars started to melt, so they need to change all the structure of the building that cost more than the half of the money they used to build it.
Well, this is a clear example of modernist architecture. It's the Crown Hall in Chicago. It is the home of the architecture and design in the Illinois Institute of Design. It was designed by Miss Van der Rohe. So this building, it's like a big rectangular shape. It is entirely made out of glass, as you can see, and it also has steel, black steel. And an interesting part of this building is that it is in the center of a lot of trees and a lot of green. And it is black, so it makes you look at it, but it doesn't look like it doesn't belong there. Like it goes well with the landscape. And also at night, when you can see it and it is entire like light comes out of the building and it looks really good.
So modernism also happened in Mexico. In Mexico, they added a new material that was plastic, because depending on the country where you were, the materials that were used for modern architecture, they added the ones that were mainly for that country. In Mexico was plastic, and as we can see, this is the UNAM in Mexico City and was created by Luis Barragán and Pablo Ogarman.
Well, this is also an example of modern architecture today. It's a museum.
It's the Van Gogh Museum. It is located in Amsterdam, and it is in the middle of what is called a museum plain. That is a big area for where you have trees, where people can interact with nature. And the museum is very important in this country because it is one of the most known buildings as modern architecture, but it also goes beyond the expectations for architects, because this building, as you enter to the Van Gogh Museum, you enter and you start with you go in and you start hearing the biography of Van Gogh when she was little, then when she started growing up. And as you go down, as you descend from the building, you can see the most important pieces of art of Van Gogh.
So, well, modernist series, well, it's, for our opinion, it's the most elegant, well, one of the most elegant styles because it is simple, but at the same time, it doesn't look boring. So it makes you want to look at it and try to understand it. Like, well, for example, the building on top is from Frank Gehry, but well, that's not modernism as you can see compared to the one below.
Those buildings are both modern, and we wanted to conclude by showing you how modernism transcended in another style. And as we already mentioned, modernism is the most known style by its pure and unique style.
Yes, because it is still used nowadays.
Yes.
Well, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.